Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm talking today about the positive and negative traits of the 12 astrology signs and the 12 astrology houses. I'm going to go over these today. I'm going to explain them, and also they're part of an upcoming weekend class. These are some example charts I'm going to be using on the weekend course. Is my family, I'll be able to dive into these positive and the negative psychological qualities that come from the astrology signs, the positive and negative effects that come from the astrology houses. This is a very streamlined and potent way of taking your astrology studies very quickly to the next level. Again, it doesn't mean that you'll be able to practice astrology immediately after this and read charts for a living or anything like that, but you'd be shocked at how when you dive into very streamlined approaches, like I taught this course on Vedic planets and the evolution of karma, you could see how I break these things down. When you bring the evolutionary principles into the same kind of matrix, how the planets are these 7 channels of karma, the sun channel of karma, the moon channel of karma. Karma isn't some abstraction that we have no idea about. It's the confidence soul connection of the sun. That's one channel of karma. There's the emotional connection and a deeper devotional space. That's the moon channel, for example, each one. And in this class, this first class, which by the way you get access to if you registered for it, I go through each of the 7 planets and the evolutionary processes of each one. I also talked about things like the karmic frame, how each planet, again, connects with those 7 channels of karma, etc. But again, when you break things down in these powerful, then it filters out all of the confusion. One of the things I've been teaching for 20 years or so I've learned how to streamline the teaching so it's not a lot of kind of crazy overwhelm. Found some of these images going from that, like, so many apps and so many different things that are happening. So this class today, what I'm going to be doing is showing this kind of streamline. Once you take the evolutionary processes of each one of these channels, so to speak, and then plug it into the different signs, then you have some extremely, again, powerful frameworks, like the evolutionary process of the moon, right, is to evolve from the emotions on the surface to a natural kind of empathy and feeling through people and situations to a deep devotion where we're connected to the heart and not knocked off balance by the momentary day-to-day situations. Like, that's the deep evolutionary process of the moon. But then you plug it into the astrology signs, and as it says here, each of the zodiac signs carries its own set of strengths and weaknesses. Here's a quick breakdown of the positive and negative attributes. These connect to the evolutionary process of the planet and the signs to reveal a deeper psychology in life. So again, this is also a very simple, powerful framework that can be a guide to you, that the astrology signs are the psychological aspect of life, right? So it's how the planets feel to us. That's what the signs are. And then the houses are how those things show up in our life, a specific area of life, with both the strengths and challenges, right? Like our relationships, the strength and challenges, what we're learning in the 7th house in our relationships. For example, that's a specific domain of life. But so again, when we look at the feeling, though, let's say it's Jupiter evolving from a kind of blind faith, because we all want to believe something, to a kind of normal optimism that gets us over life's problems, where we're not into blind faith, but we're also not cynical with no belief, to the highest, which is finding that unity consciousness where we're always inspired, right? So again, this is the evolutionary that's the evolutionary process, let's say, of Jupiter. If you were to put it in Aries, let's say, the positive is it takes that aspect and leads to a bold, courageous, energetic feeling. right? Again, if it's the moon, it's a bold, energetic, emotional state. If it's Jupiter, it's a bold, energetic belief system. If it's Mercury, right, then it's a bold, courageous, energetic quality of our thinking process and our intellect. That's a positive. If it's negative, it's impulsive, impatient, aggressive, confrontational. So again, once you line up and match the evolutionary processes of the planets, which are the sources of all of the energy, once you match that up with the feeling of each one of the signs, then you get this very powerful emotional range of the 7 rays of karma. Because again, as much as you might think that you're very unique and that you're the only person who's ever had difficulties in life, it's the same difficulties that we've all had, a different kind of variation. We all deal with trying to figure things out and get the story straight. That's Mercury. Trying to stay hopeful and optimistic. And what do we believe? That's Jupiter. Trying to fight the battles and show up but not destroy our happiness. That's Mars. Trying to find joy and happiness in life but not pay too high of a price for that happiness. That's the karmic channel of Venus. How to see things practically and be willing to let go when the time is right. That's Saturn. So we're all grappling with all the evolutionary processes. And so again, but first we have to understand them. We have to make it simple, right? We have to simplify because we get so much, we're deluged by so much, frankly, more complicated information than we need. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It's not that complicated. Now, again, going into the next level and getting a lot of nuance, and being able to read charts at a very high level, well, that is a more nuanced thing. And again, that's why in the class that I'm going to be teaching, I have some case studies. And I do, again, there is this class that's coming this weekend. As you see, this is the chart reading weekend where I'm talking about planets and signs, evolving planets and houses. And again, there are 2 ways to join. You can either click below and become a member at my YouTube membership here at the Oracle level, $29.99. You click that and join. When you do that, you'll get access to all these videos that are already there. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to have this up there. Again, you can see this here, January 25th, 26, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. You can click to join. And when you do, again, at the Oracle level and join, you already have all of these videos and teachings that are already there, right? And again, you can see all the stuff that you already get, all of these forecasts each week. And then these are the planets and signs, planets and houses that are coming this weekend. Or whenever you see this, when you join the Oracle membership, these are all be part of the membership, right? If you don't want to do it that way, then you can click here and pay at the website as well. There'll also be a link underneath for that. But again, it is help bust through all the confusion and the overwhelm that so many people feel. And so again, we'll be looking at charts also. But the way to understand these positive and negative attributes of the signs is to see that they are how the planets feel. And it's always this range, no matter how, again, the first thing is, well, how can you tell if the planet's going to be positive or negative? Well, they're always a range of positive or negative. Again, that's also the thing to understand. We focus so much as if it's literally one or the other. Even the best, I have Jupiter in Pisces, which is one of the best places it could be, right? So, oh, it's good. Yeah, it's good, but sometimes it's not good. There's always a range. It means that most of the time it has a lot of resilience, like things that you're good at. It doesn't mean because you're good at it that you're perfect. It means that when things go bad, you have a lot of resilience. You have a lot of capacity in that aspect of life. So even when things kick me to the curb, that Jupiter in Pisces still stays hopeful, right? So again, but it doesn't mean that sometimes, because again, it's in Pisces, it doesn't mean that sometimes it isn't escapist, overly idealistic, or vague, right? It definitely can be. I want to kind of escape into my own, like, all right, whatever. Yeah. Right. But again, The compassionate, creative, spiritual part is definitely much more the kind of default place. So again, each of the planets have their channel and their groove, which we're going to go over again, of course, at the beginning of the weekend, or actually when you register, you'll already get access to this class that I already did. Again, it was a 2.5-hour class. You could see the great comments here that people had. How are you so good, Sam? The best astrological psychologist I've ever heard. So very informative and inspiring. Please forgive me sleeping through the morning. Thank you, Sam. You talk about it happening to us or against us. Brilliant. I learned so much. So again, these are very succinct, powerful ways of understanding your nature. They're universal, right? And so that's already module 1. But then again, as we go through Taurus, positive is dependable, patient, grounded. The negative is stubborn, materialistic, resistant to change. Gemini, versatile, curious, communicative, negative, incisive, scattered, superficial. Cancer, positive, nurturing, empathetic, intuitive. Negative, moody, clingy, overly sensitive. Leo, confident, generous, charismatic. Negative, arrogant, self-centered, dramatic. And again, one of the things is you have planets. One of the first things is you can have your chart and go over this. And yeah, sometimes it's this real difficult part of me. Other times it's a more developed part. So drilling down into the specifics of what that channel is, what is the karmic channel of that planet, and then what are the positive, negative qualities of those signs is invaluable. And again, and then we get into the astrology houses. That's the other part of the matrix. And the houses show where that, let's say that Jupiter in Pisces, does it give you a relationship, which again, the positive, negative sides of the 7th house, cooperative, harmonious, committed. Negative, it's dependent, overly compromised, conflict averse. Those are qualities of the 7th house where we won't show up, where we're not willing to break connection. And again, these are just keywords. These are keywords that prompt a deeper explanation. You're hearing this very quickly. And so again, I will say one of the things that you want to be careful of when I do these videos, people are like, okay, now I get it. Wow, I learned so much. Great. Now I know it all. You don't know it. You just got a couple keywords, but you don't understand how it shows up, because the way it shows up is this compromise where we have to stand our ground and not agree to things that we're going to then resent the other person for later. That's the kind of razor's edge around which the 7th house turns. So you can have these keywords, but what's the motivation? Just to know that the positive is to be cooperative and committed, and the negative is to be maybe dependent or overly compromising. Again, we already kind of know that, but how does it work psychologically? And how does each planet do this? And what are these inner conflicts? Well, because we want to have the connection in the 7th house. But again, what's the price we're willing to pay for it? So again, that's the thing. And just like with the 8th house, transformative, deep, resourceful, negative, controlling, secretive, obsessive. But why? What is it about the 8th house that creates these positive and negative responses? Those are the things we're going to go into. And again, it's very easy. In my experience, I've seen it so many times, especially as I've been teaching for such a long time. And now there's so much information out there that they'll see a checklist like this and they think, okay, now I get it. Oh, I learned so much. And then it flies out of their head the next minute because they didn't really learn the fulcrum of the lever. There's a thing called a lever, and at the fulcrum of the lever is where everything goes between positive or negative. What is kind of the linchpin that's propping up that thing, so that determines whether it's positive or negative? For example, like with that 8th house, that fulcrum of the liver is fear and vulnerability. That's what's deciding how well we manage fear, vulnerability, and those things we can't control. That seed principle leads to an evolutionary process, which I'm going to describe and discuss when I get to the houses. That evolutionary process is basically determining how do we deal with vulnerability and those things we can't control. In a positive way, we see it as transformative, deep, and it makes us resourceful. In a negative way, we become controlling because we're afraid. We become secretive. We become obsessive, obsessing over fear and the things we can't control. So we try to control other people. We obsess over the negative because there's fear and vulnerability. So again, every one of these houses has a deep seed principle. By the way, so does all of the signs. And there are things that are not on this checklist that I'm going to be adding to the course, which revolve around the nature of the planet, the guna, and the element. So there's, again, 3 succinct concepts that also really dial in this emotional, psychological motivation. Because again, even as the gentleman said, that I'm a good psychologist around these things. When you understand, these principles very well, then they become very deep psychological forces where you understand your own motivations and you can unravel and untangle your own motivations very easily. So each one of the planets, again, are these psychological forces where you unravel that channel of karma. Again, the channel of confidence and true self, which is the sun, that channel of heart and emotional connection, which is the moon, that channel of courage to face life's battles, which is Mars. Again, all happening within this karmic frame. Again, if you didn't get this yet, you want to go back and watch this video. It's a couple hours. And again, you have lifetime access to these classes. But again, Mercury, that discrimination to understand what's really going on and question ourselves. Jupiter, to remain inspired but not dogmatic. So we're kind of head in the clouds, right? Venus, again, what we're willing to do to be happy, And Saturn needing to let go of those things, right? So again, as you can see here, these are all the different aspects of what we're going to be going over in that course. And the thing to realize, again, there's enormous insight that you can get just learning. This is just planets, signs, and houses. Do not underestimate how much work you can do just by understanding planet signs and houses, especially when you understand what those things are. And again, particularly so many people that are watching this will already be thinking to themselves, oh, I know all about that. I know what the planets are. I know what the signs are. I know what the houses are. I know all of that. Again, I get it. I believe that you do know. I believe that you've heard it and you can probably explain it. But how much depth is there? How much can you do like I just did and unravel these complex motivations, these living dynamic forces? How well do you really understand the evolutionary process of Venus, how your desires evolve from animalistic things like lust that gets you hooked on things like porn and junk food, and like we all are because we're an animal, right? And these are the 3 gunas. The planets come down first through that animalistic level, and then it gets into a more refined level, which is more emotional, psychological, less animalistic. Again, like Mars, the animalistic nature of Mars is to kill if we need to kill. If you need to kill somebody, Mars gives you the intensity to do it. It cuts off your higher faculties and makes you cold and ruthless and ready to fight to kill somebody right now if you need to. It's there. That's Mars through that physical body. But that's not all it's there for. On the emotional level, it's to argue and fight and say, this is right, this is wrong, you're trying to make me weak, and I'm going to fight with you over it. But on a deep soul level, it's the consciousness to fight the good fight against your own weakness and ignorance rather than against outer forces. So again, how well do you understand that? Now, again, magnify that by each one of these astrology signs, right? The signs are very complex. That nature of Aries is the masculine quality of Mars. Okay, the feminine quality is Scorpio. How are they similar but different? And what's the whole evolutionary psychology around that? Again, you can put a few, buzzwords on it and things like I did here with the houses and the signs. This is just an outline to prompt these deeper explanations to help you get it instead of just be overwhelmed thinking you already know it. And again, that's the biggest thing that I see students face these days is this illusion of knowledge, this illusion of wisdom, right? And again, it's not to criticize anyone, right? It's we're so bombarded now with so many apps and websites and people like me. So again, this isn't a lot of money. As I said here, it's $29.99 for this winds up being 8 hours of class time with this class. But then again, even with that Oracle level membership, you get all of these forecasts every week. You get 2 member forecasts. I just did them this week. And then you also get the full moon and new moons for your sign, right? You get a monthly forecast as well. So again, these are all there to help you weed through the overwhelm, help you get back on track. And again, if you're interested and you're interested in signing up for that weekend class, you can either do it at that YouTube channel or you can do it through the website, as I have many students here. Either one will get you there. But again, these are courses that you have access to for the rest of your life. I thought I would pop on here and show you the outline that I'm working on. And again, these are just prompts to take you through all of the different range. Again, first house, confidence, self-awareness, individuality. And again, it's also what's called a Dharma house. Again, these are prompts, but I'm going to add to them. Dharma. What is Dharma? Well, Dharma is righteousness, truth, true self, true awareness, not just personality, right? Negative is self-absorbed, vanity, and ego-driven, which is more personality. The first house is actually, are you using those traits to bolster your personality, sense of separateness, or your truthful identity, which is not limited to this world, this lifetime, this body, this story. So the problem with the first house is more about false identity and whether or not you're phony, counterfeit identity. Again, you can tell the problem with the first house when someone presents a phony image. Phoniness is the first main thing that you see through the first house, right? Where we're not authentic, right? Because that personality is a natural way of being, but we can get stuck in our identity in this lifetime and not the deeper dharmic qualities of that sign. Because that first house is also going to be one of these signs. For example, I'm Gemini. That's my first house. So I can get into the personality traits of Gemini, which come very natural to whatever your rising sign is. Those personality traits come very easily. I can kind of deflect with humor or this or that if I want. We all can use those qualities of our ascendant, our rising sign, to cultivate a popular personality, right? But that's just on the surface. The deeper nature is that unique identity, that truthful identity. For example, so again, I just took, and very briefly, again, in the class, I'm going to talk about it much more. It'll be a couple hours, but really unpacked what is that identity? What is identity? Do you even know? Honestly, I'm not trying to be insulting, but how would you explain identity? Again, personality. No, that's not identity. That's false identity that is attached to this personality that, first of all, loses ourself in other people. It's very easy to lose our personality in another person because we're behaving to try to get them to like us. And when we're lost and we don't know ourselves, we're looking for validation in others. And the way we get it through the first house is by performing and creating this facade through the first house. Again, this personality, right? So again, this is very deep. And then the second house, again, it says positive, financial security, resourcefulness, stability, yes. Negative, materialism, greed, attachment, yes. But these are also very much on the surface. What's the deeper principle of second house? It has to do with values and value and our evolving values and the things around us and the need to cultivate good values, good habits, It's an art to house. What do we value the most? Again, if we start with that personality, do we value these very shallow counterfeit encounters? Is that the most valuable thing? Is that right now I get you to like me? Or is there something more valuable underneath it all that connects more to my values, long term, etc.? So again, each one, and these houses build on each other. The first house builds, second house builds on the the first. The third house builds on the second. So again, all of these are incredibly rich and detailed structures. They're not simplistic at all. And if you don't understand them on that level, again, it can very easily be that you think, oh no, I get it. I understand the houses. Oh, and I've heard you talk about them. Most people don't. Even students that have gone through my very advanced courses, they still have a lot to learn about how to understand and unpack these things. And I'm going to do it very succinctly. Again, you don't have to do 15, 20-hour course. This is going to be very streamlined: planets, signs, houses, and this matrix. I want to explain this and come on and let people know about this that's available to you incoming. Again, for those who are watching on YouTube, the simplest thing to do is go there and at the Oracle level, click to join. It's very easy. Then you not only get that, but you get all of these other forecasts that are already there. Again, don't think, oh, join forever. No, you could cancel it in a month or whatever. There's already so many classes laid in at the Oracle level already that you would get those classes already. And again, if you want to join at the website instead, then you can do that. And I'll have a link down there for that. But other than that, I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.